Well, hello, everybody. Good to see you on this Wednesday. I have not heard the sirens go off here at the university yet, but I'm sure we're going to hear that interruption from the side. This has been an interesting day on campus. We experienced, 25 minutes of a power outage, which made trying to get work really challenging and meeting with students challenging. But we are so excited that all of you are here to join us. If you don't know who I am, I'm Monica Powell. I'm the Senior Associate Dean and Grad Dean here in the Jindal School. I am delighted to have a group of folks with me today, including Mark Thouin. Mark Thouin is the current director of the MS ITM program and an Associate Dean for Graduate Programs Academic Operations. And then we have our Senior Assistant Dean, Gaurav Shekhar, here, newly minted, about to walk across the stage to get his PhD individual. He is our Assistant Dean for Graduate Programs, managing the student experience side. And he is currently the program director for our business analytics Flex and online program. We have Angela Howard here with us. She is our assistant director in grad advising. And then, of course, behind the scenes, we have Norma, who makes everything happen for us. So thank you guys for being here today. You know, we are here at the end of the semester. It's really a unique time, I think, where students feel the pressure of impending finals and last projects and maybe even graduation. And I think it's also, whether students like it or not, it's a little bit of a reflective time, because I think that's one great thing about being in graduate school is that, you know, it's not like the whole thing is one thing. It's broken up into semesters and you always get to start anew on the next semester. So, you know, I was thinking about things that I wanted to philosophize about today with our graduate students and get some input from Mark and Gaurav. And it really dawned on me that I was maybe going to channel David Letterman. You guys know who David Letterman is, right? I can see Mark grinning a little bit. Gaurav's trying to grin, but we all know that David Letterman is famous for his top 10 list. So we're going to do a top 10 list to give you guys some things to think about as you're ending the semester and maybe going out into the real world to do a job, or whether you're starting an internship this summer, whether you're taking classes or taking the summer off. And so here is my top 10 pieces of advice, and it might be school advice, life advice, or career advice. And I want my two colleagues, Mark and Gaurav, to be thinking about the extras that they'll add to the list of 10 when I get done with them. So the first one is really not mine. I heard it somewhere and I don't remember who it was, but I can't attribute it, but I can't take credit for it either. You know, you guys, this isn't just school. This is your job. When you are in school, it is your job. You shouldn't think about it as school or on the road to a job. When you're in school, if you treat this like it is your job, you never want to disappoint a boss. You never want to be late on an assignment. You never want to miss an email from your boss. You never want to not pay attention to what your boss wants you to do. If you do all of those things in graduate school, you'll have very good grades, you'll be very competitive, and you'll be able to go out and do whatever you want in a job. So remember, this isn't school, it is a job. At least while you're here, it is. Number 2 on the list is you can't be a passive achiever in any aspect of your life, including the classroom, in your work, in your personal life, and in your community. You know, I think that people are exhausted. You know, you talk to anybody anywhere in Texas or really anywhere in the world, it seems like people are exhausted. They're exhausted from the technology that is right at their fingertips that makes everything faster. They're exhausted because they have so much information at hand. They're exhausted because there's so much information to go through. And I think that has a tendency to give us a bit of fatigue. And I think it slides us into this passive mode. And let me tell you, nobody achieves great things in their life by being passive. So my recommendation is to pick and choose and be very active in those things that matter. Because if you take a passive approach to everything, you're going to be disappointed in terms of what you achieve. You got to go, 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 go on the things that matter. Which brings us to number 3. You aren't going to like everything you do in your job and in your career. You are not going to like everything that you do in your job, career, or even in school. but those things are necessary and they're required. Some mean people would say, oh, it's a rite of passage. You have to go through these things to be at a director level. It's not about rite of passage. It's about learning to do the tough stuff and the things you don't like and do it well, even if you don't like it. Because some of the biggest lessons come from the things that we don't like to do. That's where we grow the skill set that we don't have. So get used to not getting to do everything you want, and not everything that you want to do is what you're going to love. You're going to have to do some stuff you don't like and you don't love. Now, number 4 really goes to my heart. Number 4 is important. Frustration comes with achievement. Well, what do I mean by that? People think, wow, if you achieve, you're going to be really happy. I mean, your boss is going to pat you on your back. You're going to get an A in a class. But when you achieve, you also acquire more responsibility. And when you require more responsibility, whether you're supervising people or whether you're doing more assignments or you're taking more on, that gives you more stress. More stress gives you frustration. And you have to understand that if you want to grow your career, you got to get comfortable with frustration, because frustration comes with achievement. So remember that. Number 5, if you work hard and you focus on achieving your goals, you will never have to ask for a promotion or a raise. I have been in the workforce probably total of maybe 43 years, 44 years. And in that time, I've never asked for a raise and I've never asked for a promotion. And I can look at this point in my life and say, wow, I am really proud of the success and the upward mobility I made in my job. But if you work hard, you accept frustration, you achieve, opportunity comes to you. Now, that doesn't mean that you should allow yourself to be mistreated or not acknowledged. But I can tell you that if you get in the business of always asking for a promotion or a raise, that is not going to put you in favor with your bosses, because they're going to think you care more about those things than you do about doing the work. Number 6, the best opportunities happen when you go beyond the call of duty and when you least expect them. I absolutely love the memories in my career where I really did go beyond the call of duty and the unexpected happened, and it's the best kind of achievement that there is. And I think that we surprise ourselves when we allow ourselves to be more than we think we're capable of, because real great things can happen. So always let those best opportunities happen by doing more than is expected of you all the time. Now, number 7 is really at my heart and soul. It comes from a boss I had way back when I was 27, who taught me the importance of asking for criticism. He said, when you ask for criticism, you find the things that you need to get better at. And when you get better at those things, number 1, there's fewer things to criticize, but you increase your portfolio of things that you can do. So ask for criticism. Number 8, I hope my colleagues will say that I demonstrate this, but always be grateful for others who help you, whether those are your classmates or your peers. Whoever it is, be grateful and be thankful, because then you'll be willing to help them back and everybody wins. So I think that oftentimes in our busy lives, at the pace that we are doing things, we sometimes don't feel like we have time to do that, but always be grateful for others, because it always makes you better and them better as well. Number 9, own your mistakes. I think as a leader, a senior leader here in the Jindal School, one of my most frustrating things in supervising people my whole life is when I'm dealing with colleagues, people that report to me who are not owning their mistakes. Nobody is perfect. Everybody's going to make a mistake. Everybody's going to forget something. We're all humans. But when you own it, it says to your boss that you have the confidence to say you owned it, which will demonstrate that you have the confidence to fix it and the confidence to take on the next project that comes down the pipe. So always own your mistakes. And number 10, I want to offer the last one. I worked for, actually, I had an employee who worked for me for many years when I was at another university. She was the age of my dad. In fact, she was 6 days younger than he was. but she worked for me. She was one of my direct reports. And she would always, when Monica was going 100 zillion miles an hour, she would all of a sudden just look at me. She'd go, "Stop." And I would be, you know, kind of, like what? And she goes, "We got to stop. We need a moment for a joy break." And she would pull out of her mind some kind of funny quip or anecdote or a joke or something, because she believed that joy breaks were the way that colleagues could have a good time. Now, if you're ever in the dean's office, you will know that at times I've had bowling in the hallway, cornhole in the hallway. We make bets on a regular basis, of which I lose regularly. But when you always find opportunities to laugh with others, to laugh at yourself, and to take those joy breaks that give you a break from those big challenges, you're just a happier person. So I am offering all of you free of charge my top 10 list of just my advice as you're either ending the semester to start another one, or to go out on an internship, or getting ready to walk across that stage at graduation. I think that these are important lessons that somebody who's worked 40 plus years can offer you with pretty good confidence that these are good lessons. And I hope that you'll think about them and you'll reflect on them. So I'm going to ask Mark and Gaurav, do you have another one? Do we want to go for a number 11 or a number 12? Mark, what about you? Do you have a number 11 to add to the list?
You know, I like your list a lot, and I was going to maybe add a little bit to a couple of the things you talked about and mentioned, and you know, number 7, where you suggested asking for criticism. You know, I'll in Scrum, so I teach Agile project management, and Agile project management is based on the Scrum process, and built into this process is a mechanism to get feedback, right? And to get feedback from those around you, meaningful feedback. And feedback is how we get better, right? So feedback sometimes, you know, it may be negative or point out things that you didn't do quite right, and that's okay, right? So have an open mind about the feedback that you're getting, and recognizing that the purpose and intent of that feedback is really to grow and to get better, and to learn how to do things differently. So in your job, in your workplace, at school, create opportunities where you're getting feedback on a regular basis. And successful companies, successful employers have recognized the value of feedback, and a lot of the processes they follow have regular feedback built in. You know, Elon Musk with SpaceX, he's really revolutionized how rockets are built by getting feedback. So the purpose of an early launch isn't to just build a successful rocket. It's really about collecting data and getting feedback and learning from that experience and growing. And so I like that one a lot. That one resonates with me a lot. I always try and look for ways to get feedback, and when receiving feedback, recognize that it is you know, an opportunity to grow and to learn and to get better. So so that's, you know, one thought I'll share, and I guess I'll let Gaurav turn it back over to Gaurav, or turn it over to Gaurav and let him share a few thoughts.
Yeah, you know, Mark, I love that example about Agile and Scrum. I think that's a really good pragmatic example of it's intended to give feedback so that you get better. So that's a great example. Gaurav, what about you?
So I think you guys have been very positive and very with your 10. Oh, I think I'll make it a little gloomy, but I have a very different take at it. Okay, not that we need any more gloom in our lives. Here is what I've often thought about this myself. I'm like, how will my funeral look like? That's a thought I have. And please, before you call me anything, or you think about, you know, what the heck is he talking about? I think that gave me some purpose, because when you think about what are you going to leave in this world when you're done, nobody's going to talk about that you made great PowerPoint presentations, or you were so good with Python, or you know, your Power BI dashboards were so amazing. People will talk about what kind of a person you were, what impact you made to their lives, you know, if you have changed them in any way. And we all start as when we are young, we go to school, we go to college, we get degrees, we get skills, we get into a job. We do all these things. That is for us. But then we also have a very big responsibility when it comes to contributing to the community, making the overall lives of people better. How are you making that contribution? How are you making that difference is a question that I would let you ask yourself. And we all can make a difference in different ways. We don't have to do the same things. We are good at certain things. We can learn from others. But the idea is, what are you contributing and what is that legacy? And that legacy is not a flip of a switch that one day you decided, let me just create my legacy in 2 days and I'm done. That takes years. Sometimes just let's say you work at a place for several years and you helped make the culture of that place better. That's your legacy. So think about once you pass over, what do you want people to remember you for? And to be honest, every day of our lives we are working towards that. We are leaving something that the world remembers us for, but not just they don't just remember us for that thing. There is something positive that you left behind. Again, not death is not something people want to think about, but I just wanted to ponder on this because several years later, you might have this question to yourself, what am I leaving behind? And it's a series of steps which were intentional, which came out from your heart, your intent to help people that resulted into what it resulted. So, irrespective of it, whatever point in your life you are at, whatever point in your professional journey you are at, you can always make that difference. And if you feel as of today that you have not made that difference, guess what? Today is the day to start making that difference. So that's what I would add to the list that Monica had.
Well, Gaurav, I don't think that is quite it didn't end gloomy as it started. So yay on that point. But I do think that you make a really good point. I do think that in every single job you have, every single responsibility that you have in the course of your career, I heard it put this way once, and I really think that this is impactful. When you move on from a place and you're going to go from one job to the next job, what footprints did you leave behind? How will that organization know that you were there?
Yep.
What difference did you make? The same is true in the community and where you live. Same is true in your family. And I think that sometimes today's students think about jobs as temporary. You should never think about the next job you're getting as temporary. You should think about it as like a forever job, because even though you won't stay at that job forever, it might be a 3-year or 4-year. You should always be thinking about what difference did I make in the time that I was there. When you get to the end of your life, as you were talking about, Gaurav, what series of footprints did you leave everywhere? That individuals will know, wow, you were there and you made a difference in X, or you were there here and you made a difference in Y. So I think that's really good advice. And I thank Mark and Gaurav for just really commenting on that. I think our students know that I tend to be a bit philosophical and wanting to, garner up advice to give to students. But I think that advice is important. And I think it's good that you take time to reflect. Maybe not exactly this week or next week when you have finals and final projects due in the next 10 days or whatever. But as you finish this semester, reflect back on how you want to make the next semester different, or reflect back on how you want to change how you do in an internship or in a final position that you've accepted. So thank you guys for playing along with me today. So I do want to pitch over to Angela. We are finishing the semester now, and students who are continuing should have registered for classes. And we hope that all of them have done that. But what about students that might have holds on their accounts?
Yes. So as of right now, most of the students who have holds on their accounts would be ones who are on academic probation. We did move those holds out to allow for enrollment in summer or fall, depending on where you are on the probation scale. Hopefully you have chosen fall and you are now enrolled. If you have not chosen fall and you chose summer, do talk to us so we can talk to you about what that would look like for you. But if you did choose a semester, you're now locked in as of right now. Of course, you can change it before the semester begins, but hopefully your all fall enrollments. Those who have holds that are not probation based, I would say definitely reach out to those offices where the holds are coming from. A lot of times it may be something from admissions. If you are a newer student that did not submit all of your documents, you may have a hold, especially spring 2024 starts may have admission holds. Please submit those documents if you have those holds. Reach out to the admissions department as soon as possible. Their email is admission@utdallas.edu. So look out for that on your account, or anything else from any other area within the university. Check that tasks area in your Orion so that you can get those holds removed. And good luck on your finals. I know they're coming up. The last day of class is Friday, so you'll have finals next week. Some may be doing finals now, but hopefully that everything is going well. And if you're graduating, congratulations. We'll see you on the 13th and the 14th.
Man, I can't wait for graduation. I absolutely love it. We are graduating like 2,500 students on May 13th and 14th. We're doing 5 ceremonies. There's going to be a lot of jubilation and a lot of tired deans. And it takes an army to pull off graduation. I don't know, it must be like 25 or 30 volunteers who are all part of this bigger mechanism that gets those students in and across the stage and out. It's really remarkable, and it is so much fun to watch that team work together. So big hearty congratulations to anybody that is graduating and moving on. We're excited about that. So are there any other announcements, Mark, Gaurav, any announcements that you guys might have, or Norma that you might have? I don't think we have any questions from our attendees today, so I don't want to hold people on, but if there are other important topics, I do want to pitch one to you, Mark. And it might be Mark and Angela, and Gaurav. When it comes to reporting an internship for approval for summer, what is the last time that they can do that? Because summer can be divided into 5 weeks, right? So can we talk a little bit about the approval process? Because I get a lot of those questions in this next few weeks, and I want to make sure we address that.
It's typically right around July 4th, and I'm looking up the exact date now, but usually the week of July 4th, the first week in July is the deadline for reporting a summer internship. So that means you have all the way up until first week in July or so in order to find that internship. And so on the CMC website, it lists the dates. I don't know, Angela, were you able to find that specific date?
Yes. So it is July 1st, last
July
day to report
1st.
an internship. Yep.
Yeah.
Right around
Great.
the 4th, yeah.
So don't give up. I mean, I was talking with Mark just the other day. 85% of our December graduating ITM students have all been placed in jobs. That's awesome. I don't think you've calculated yet yours for Buon, right, Gaurav? I don't think that's happened yet, but I'm suspecting the number is going to be as high. So even though we hear a lot of consternation about the workforce, it really isn't quite what the media is representing in terms of job loss. There's still a lot of hiring that's going on. My personal philosophy is that a lot of the very high paid people that were added during the pandemic, companies are realizing I can hire, fresh master's graduates at a lower cost. And so they might be laying them off, but they're still hiring. So get out there. It is still a great market, and don't forget the great things that you learn in professional development. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of other folks' time and let people move on. Thank you really so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure. Thank you to Mark and Gaurav for being here. I think that these conversations that we have with our students are important. There's literally not a week that goes by that I don't run into a student who may not have attended this live, but who watched it in the recording on our YouTube channel that will speak back to me some little quibit from the conversation or a takeaway from them. And so I'm glad that that we can give you some food for thought and some things to think about. I think it's important to step back from what you're doing and to have those reflecting moments. And that's really what the chat with the Grad Dean is all about. It is also here to answer questions you have and remind you of important things as well. But I want to thank Mark and Gara for being here, and Angela too. And of course, Norma. We can't do any of the magic without Norma behind. She's like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtains. So thank you to everyone. Have a great rest of the semester. Go out there, do well on those finals. Get ready for graduation and get ready for what the next step's going to be after the semester is over. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.